To go ahead and work with the left eye now, what we need to do is just take the right eye layer and drag it down all the way to this little icon, which is the icon basically of creating a new layer. And if we drag the layer down and drop it on that icon, the layer is duplicated. Okay, so I right copy, let's change that. Double click on this little title here and change that to I left. Okay, now let's go to the move tool so that we're able to move this eye left. Now, what is this eye left? It's actually a duplicate of eye right. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm on that layer. I have that layer selected. And then with the move tool, I want to move the eye to the left side. And it's a good idea to hold down the shift key because my hand might shake and the eye might go up and down. So just hold down the shift key so that it snaps and stays on the same horizontal level as where it came from, which is right here. Okay, so now, I mean, if you look at this, it looks fine, but if you look a bit closely, obviously this eye needs to be flipped. So it's just a click of a button away. We can go to Edit, Transform, and Flip Horizontal. Okay, so it just takes the eye and that flips it horizontally. So now it fits properly where it should. I would take it a bit to the left, and doing so will show me these white blurs again. So again, I can go to my eraser tool, zoom in, and erase those extra, white blurs, white effect around the eye. Okay, wonderful. So, I mean, we completed most of the assignment. Now, I realized that I have these two additional layers that I kept just in case. I don't need two of them actually, so let me throw layer 1 copy, and I can do that just by selecting the layer and hitting delete. Okay, now the second part of the assignment, let's go there and read what the assignment wants us to do. It says, even though your file is a grayscale file, find a way to replace the eyes that you just replaced and make them green. So find a way to make the iris green. Okay, so how do we do that? Because this is a black and white file. Let me show you how I know that. If I go to Image and then Mode, it says grayscale. So even if I choose a green color, so let's say I go over eye left, I create a new layer, and I go to my color panel, I choose a green, let's say, and then I draw a circle using the elliptical marquee tool over this eye, and then try to color holding down the Alt key and delete. There's no green, right? So whenever you're working on a grayscale document, you can't have any color. So what can we do? What is a trick we can do to basically change this document to a different mode in order for us to be able to apply color to those eyes? So I'm going to go back and do Command Z and then deselect that circle selection. What we can do is go to Image and then just change the mode from grayscale to RGB, and this will allow us to basically introduce color to our canvas. Now it's asking us, do we want to flatten or not? If we say flatten, all of these layers will become flattened into one layer, which is what we don't want, because we always want to preserve the PSD file, which is the file containing the layers. So I'm going to choose don't flatten. Okay, now let me make sure the mode of my document changed. In fact, it's right here, it says RGB. And also you can notice in the tab of the canvas where it says, the file name eyesclosed.jpg, it says that it's an RGB right here. Okay, so now that it's an RGB file, I can nicely go and perhaps choose a nicer green and not this electric green, something like this. And then on layer 2, which is a transparent layer, there's nothing there. Go ahead and draw a circle selection. What I'm doing is, I probably showed you earlier, if you click and drag, you draw a circle. It becomes an ellipse unless you hold down the shift key, which makes it a perfect circle. Now, another method to draw a circle is from the center outwards. So to do that, you just hold down the Alt and the Shift keys together, and then you click and drag outside so that your circle is growing from the center outwards. And that's what I want to do to draw the iris right here. So I want to put my cursor in the center of the eye, and then hold down the Alt and Shift keys, click and drag to draw this circle. Okay, so on layer 2 I have the circle selection, and I will give it a color green by doing Alt Delete. Okay, so obviously I do not want this big green circle over the eye. I want this color to blend with what's underneath. And we learned earlier that to blend a color or a layer with what happens to be underneath it, we just use the blending modes. So let me do that. Shift plus to move from normal to dissolve to multiply, overlay, and so forth until we find an effect that works for us. So, okay, this is not bad. Darken is not bad. Ooh, okay. This is not bad either. Soft light. This is much nicer. Okay, I'm going to choose this one, soft light. Maybe my circle is too big. That's why the green iris is on the lid at the bottom. So I can select it by hitting Command T and then scale it a bit down. Okay, that's good. All right. And then the next thing I can do is just hover over this iris, hold down the Alt key, drag it out, and hold down the Shift key so that my hand doesn't shake up and down, and then position it on the second eye. And there you go. So this is the end of the assignment. What we did is replace the closed eyes of a girl with open eyes. We found a way to erase the edges of the eye so that it looks natural and integrated within the real image. We also changed the mode of the canvas of the document from grayscale to an RGB in order to be able to integrate color into the eyes.